track or tracks, which ones like are your favorites? Which ones stand out to you the most?
Listen for Me, I think is a really big, just like that word you use, juxtaposition, like where it's like a really trippy kind of like, hippied out mixed with like, kind of early 90s alternative. It touches on grieving, like with my dad, and then an ex-girlfriend, and then really like just a good friend had died right after my dad. So, I just always like shit that was hands-on and like kind of gave a lot of a person, or, like they're speaking on a lot. Maybe it's like they're pushing themselves out of their comfort zone. I think on that song, there's a little bit of that. ADHD is another good one. Breathe Comfortably and One Who's Stupid are some of mine. But I honestly, like, I have a lot of love for this album. I've had other projects where I was like, not as like, kind of like, oh, I could have done this and that, a little bit of like perfectionism. But on this album, I really liked how they mastered it. And I gave the guy like a list. He's like, give me like all the albums you want specific songs to like be mastered. So I really studied like really intricate songs. And since, it's such a heavy time, I think like that was the hard part. I was going through a lot of shit and grieving and kind of a mess listening to this heavy shit. And then, but when the project was done, that was kind of like the euphoric part where I was like, I really do like, I'm really proud of the record. And I haven't really had that a lot. And I don't, life, I think in the future will have similarities with like little things, but when you lose a parent, it's such like a crazy thing sometimes, like you, so I think this album seriously is a little bit more, I like it a little bit more in some ways than some of our earlier shit, which is not always how it goes. Like on our Bipolar, there were some parts of it I was like not really chill. Could be a little bit better here and there. Layered more. I'm into layers, like Beatle-y type shit, like multiple vocal layers to like thicken it up so it's really like in your head and shit, But yeah, I guess ADHD is a good one. Breathe Comfortably, Listen for Me, and One Who's Stupid, which is actually like a really old song, the skeleton of it, like going back seriously, like Jesus, like over 10 years. Almost. And then, like revisited it. I was like, but yeah, there's like 4 songs I really kind of keep listening to. And then I get tired of them and listen to the others. You know how that goes. Like,
I mean, the whole album sounded great,
Thank you, man.
I mean, a few sounds for me, I was like Only Problem. Like I really liked Only Problem. I love the breakdowns. Like I love how everything, like, I just,
thank you.
Like really, really, really hits with me. So I really like that song. I Just Don't Know. That's another I really, really liked. It was like, it just kind of like wavy, like a very wavy type of sound, very. Yeah. And then,
thank you, man.
And then was Grapes.
Oh yeah. Dude, that's the fucking hard part though. It like kind of goes back to that thing with where I was saying like how, since we dropped those as singles, I think that like how I think I listened to them so much that it's kind of channeling. Does that make sense? Like I listened to them. Like if you asked me 4 months ago or something, I probably literally would have said like the singles, because that's why we put them out. You put out singles like, but Only Problem, one weird thing about writing, and this is something that I was kind of tripping on, is like Only Problem, kind of, it's like it's kind of a relationship thing, or like maybe you're hanging out with somebody and they're always negative or they're always on drugs, but in another way, kind of like in hindsight, you kind of write shit and you don't know like what you're talking about. And I think that's kind of like on like bad mental health and like addiction kind of, it's like, that's the only problem. If I didn't have that, I'd be good. And sometimes that shit like comes up and you're like, oh shit, I think that's kind of more like what it meant to me, but I didn't really know what I was like writing about. Yeah. It's kind of weird. Like I had like a realization with that where I'd be all good except this only problem is this shit or
I mean, it definitely resonated with me because, man, like I said, I've heard it a few times the album already, and I was like, wait, are these the singles? And I was like, oh, these are the singles. I was like, oh, so I think you guys picked the right ones for singles because those.
Thank you. I appreciate that.